Hello, listeners. I hope you are having a wonderful week. Welcome to episode 7 of Push2 A Plat Level Cap, where we are only interested in raising your level and our own. Join us, or join me and Joe, as we move forward to smash the cap. How are you, Joe?
We're doing okay over here. Not dead yet, which is nice.
That's very true. Look, we'll probably get to that in a second, but, listeners, we apologize for no episode last week. We don't need to tell you there's a lot going on. But look, we're back here today, and we'll just let it run naturally, and we'll see how we go. But it's funny you mentioned you're still alive, Joe, because I've noticed that, around the world, people are moving into, working from home or whatever else. And I'm noticing the trophy counts are increasing. I'm assuming the same for achievements. I think there's a lot of working from PlayStation going on, or working from Xbox at the moment.
Oh, yeah, I've been killing it.
Now, why don't you tell us what you're up to, actually?
So, I cracked the top 5,000 worldwide, and we're actually top 4,500 now, since we last recorded, and I'm in the top 1,000 in the US now.
Just before you go on to the next bit, which is even more impressive, are you still moving up at like a crazy rate at this 4,500? Like you're moving up 500 or something a week? Or is it starting to slow down now?
Oh, no, it's definitely starting to slow down. I think it was maybe 80 spots this week on the US leaderboard, when usually it's like a couple hundred.
Yeah, now you're getting into the hardcores here, Cj. You're gonna have to really step your game up now to keep up with these guys. But look, you're halfway home, aren't you?
Almost. I think level 55 is halfway there.
Oh, okay, with the division, yes. Well, where are you up to there?
I just hit level 50.
Congratulations. With 254 plats, I see as well, yeah? Would you like to...
264. I didn't update that.
Oh, you've set me up. It's beautiful. Well, look, since the last time we spoke, that's a lot of plats. I don't know how many. I don't know if you know how many off the top of your head. But would you like to share, was 250 an important one, or was it just something that happened in passing?
So I took one out of your book, and I tried to play a game that I would enjoy for my 250th. And I think after every 49 spam plats that I do, I think I'm going to play one that I will enjoy a little bit more. So I went with the first Hellblade for number 250.
Ah, nice. I like that. That's the quote of 49 to 1. That's perfect. Yeah. So how was Hellblade? This is not the first time you've played it, is it?
Yeah, I did it on the Xbox One and on Windows 10. It was easier this time or whatever, just because I know everything. And it took me a little bit to get back into the combat, at first. I was having troubles with, the first boss in that game always gives me an issue, because it's, you don't have enough, experience with the combat system at first to, really know what you're doing. And there's not really a tutorial in the game. But once you get it or whatever, it's easy peasy.
It's also that fear of, if you die too often as well in that game, isn't it? It's all tied up in that too. So what I was going to ask you with this, because, I've been putting off doing it a second time, or the second stack. And actually, I've started it on Xbox as well over the last year, so I'm putting it off there too. But one of the reasons is obviously the collectibles in this game, the totems or whatever they're called. So you used a video guide this time. I haven't asked you this, though. How does this work? Is it just sort of, screen captures of where each one is, or are you following the guide the whole way, or...?
So, I use Maka's guide for it. He actually has a very, very good, spoiler-free guide for where all the, pillars are, what are they called? I should know this. I just did it. A week ago. No, I just did it. But he has a really, really good guide, and it doesn't spoil any of the game. And he shows you where everything is and walks you through it. And
excellent. Okay, well, this is what I'll have to look into. So well done, sir. So listeners, look, it's, as I said, we weren't here last week, so I've had a little bit of time. Still sitting on the level 65. There's not a lot of upward progression at the moment. 1,001 platinums. 67th, I've surrendered my 69th place. I noticed there was a surge by an American that pushed me back there, Joe, which, was very nice and comfortable. But unfortunately, there's been a bit of slow play in Asia. They must be playing really slow, judging by my pace in the last 2 weeks. But I'd like to give a little shout out to Murdered Out 615X. He sent me a lovely message, actually, just before we started recording. So everybody wants to be like me, That's how it is, Don't feel ashamed by that. But look, you'll get there as well, I am sure. And he did say, Joe, that he is quite enjoying the show. So we do need to spam him up a little bit today, I feel. But I think we can do that. But look, before we do that, why don't we talk some consoles? Because I understand that Sony have done some sort of a reveal of sorts here of the PlayStation 5. Now, you actually watched this, didn't you?
Yeah, I watched the whole event. It was like, I think it was like close to like a half hour, but it was really, really boring, and like it's just like a deep dive into the specs and the capabilities of like like what the console is going to be able to do, and a lot of it was like the SSD inside of the console, which is crazy fast.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess what they're going for is like a lot of the way that games are designed or whatever, they're designed to kind of hide their deficiencies or whatever. So like a lot of things will be like linear in certain parts because the hard drive inside just isn't fast enough to load up like the rest of the level or the rest of the content. So they kind of like use loopholes to like hide the game, like what the game can't do because the console's limitations, and this hard drive is supposedly fast enough to where that won't be an issue, so it'll be a lot easier for the developers to like get everything up and going or whatever, because they don't have to like design extra stuff just to, you know what I mean, like keep levels from not loading. So which is pretty, I really think that first party games are going to excel with this. Third party, I'm not so sure about, because it looks like this hard drive speed is like more than double. So I mean, third party, it's going to be like 3 seconds versus 6 seconds. So I don't think there's going to be much of a difference there, but I think it's really going to shape the way that first party games are designed going forward, which is fantastic because PlayStation definitely has a very strong first party lineup.
Yeah. Yeah, now this is interesting because look, in disclosure, listeners, I haven't had time to watch it. Although, the attraction of listening to someone nerd speak at me for 30 minutes is not huge on my agenda at the moment. But there are a lot of numbers here that mean nothing to me, Joe. So you've talked about the hard drive. Are there any other, in all these numbers we're looking at here, are any other important distinctions, or is much the same for the rest of this stuff?
Yeah, so like if you look at like the number breakdown, like IGN posted like a graphic or whatever where it compares the two consoles. The Xbox is like not significantly more powerful, but definitely more powerful on paper. I'm not sure how that will equate to like price, because price is definitely a very important factor. And I mean, price might not be a very important factor because I mean, if it's 450 versus 500 for like PS5 versus the Series X, you technically don't really have to buy a game day one for the Series X because you're going to get Halo day one and probably a Forza as well, plus all the backwards compatible games like with the Xbox One. And the PS5's backwards compatibility is like kind of lackluster in my opinion. I don't know if you saw that or not.
Yes. Now this they only sort of commented on the PS4 games, didn't they? They didn't really say about other backwards compatibility.
Yeah,
right?
So there's no PS1, PS2, and PS3. So they did something where they put like the PS4's architecture in the chip instead of putting the like PS4's like innards in the console, which is what they did on the PS3 to make it play PS2 and PS1 games. So they put like extra like equipment in, rather they programmed the PS4 into the PS5 in some way, shape, or form. So like it only the like a majority of the top 100 most played games are gonna be backwards compatible at launch instead of the majority. They said Xbox said that the majority of Xbox One games will work, and the backwards compatible 360 and the backwards compatible original Xbox One games will work. But it just seems kind of lame to me that it's the top 100 most played, because I mean, like, that's Fortnite, that's Apex, that's a bunch of Call of Duties, that's probably like Uncharted and stuff like that. But I mean, like when you get like dig into like the top 100 played games or whatever, I mean, a lot of it's just like probably like free multiplayer stuff like Smite, because I mean, they got to get their microtransaction money from like Fortnite emotes and stuff.
See, now this is alarming to me, Joe, this top 100 played games, because I'm pretty sure most of the games I play, the Japanese Japanese splendors, are not going to be in this top 100 list. So there's a lot of games I own that are not going to qualify at this stage anyway. So that's going to be interesting. especially it's going to be interesting for anyone that has a big digital library, I imagine, on the current PS4. But, look, I suppose you'll have both sitting there. Like, why not? Now, let's come down to here. You were telling me about the hard drives before as well. This is interesting too. Could you talk to this a little?
Yeah, the hard drive in the PS5 does like 5.5 gigs per second or something like that. Well, the Xbox is only 2.5, so it's there's a lot of silicon in it to make it work, or silicone, whatever. I don't know how to pronounce that word. But yeah, it's like both are very, very custom, and the PS5 is expandable through like USB like SSDs, and I'm assuming that like a normal like external hard drive will work as well. They didn't really get into that. While the Xbox One, or not the Xbox Series X, I'm sorry, has like a port in the back where they're gonna sell like little memory chips. Like it's like a little memory card that plugs in the back. I'm sure they're gonna be like enormous in price too, because it's custom, and it's like a little memory card, and it like doubles as like an extra SSD, and the specs are set to the same as the SSD in the console, which is really cool.
It's good to see that Microsoft has, taken a leaf out of Sony's book with that, charging exorbitant fees for a memory card from the Vita. That'll be a fantastic strategy. That should serve them well. I like that. Yeah.
No, I think an 8 gig for my Vita ran me like $32.
Oh, it's ridiculous. But I also noticed this time they both have 4K ultra high definition Blu-ray drives. So Sony obviously, decided, we couldn't get it there for the Pro, but we managed to get it there this time, which is wonderful to see. So look, Joe, out of all of this, I haven't actually asked you this question because now, I believe you're trying to reach this level before the new consoles, and with everything that's going on, that maybe longer away than we think, so maybe quite possible. Are you going to bite on both of these, or are you just biting on the X, or what do you think?
I mean, I'm definitely gonna get an Xbox day one because it's like I know I'm gonna play Halo and I know I'm gonna play Forza, and Halo's not really my thing, but I really like Forza and I definitely want to see what this thing is capable of doing. The PS5, I need a pretty strong first party game to commit to that.
Yes. Yeah. Well, look, everything's getting pushed, so because who knows?
Yeah. Well, supposedly everything is getting pushed. I need a very strong first party game that like I'm interested in order for me to commit to that day one. Like I need a Spider-Man or a Horizon 2 or God of War, or I mean like even if it's a new IP or whatever that's on the level of those, I need something like that. Because that like the only PS5 games that's shown is that, was it Godfall? Is that what it's called?
I think so, yes.
That did not interest me like one bit.
Well, look, I suppose we'll see. So listeners, look, Joe's done a wonderful job with this information, but look, it's just, there's really no way to know which is going to be the best system. So, with that in mind, you'd obviously be buying the X. That would be the way to move. So, if you haven't experienced that before, you're in for a treat. So I think, Joe, we can throw that in the rubbish and we'll just both pre-order the X and we'll be happy and move on. Now, shall we move on to some games? Because, we've given them our spiel on what all that means. But I think now we need to help them get some trophies and achievements. And would you like to kick us off?
Yeah, I played Super Core Otama this week. We were talking about it for like a little bit. It's got a platinum. It's got 2 stacks, US and Europe. It's supposedly an hour-ish to get the platinum, but that game is exceptionally frustrating when you're very impatient like me and you just want your platinum to be like quick, easy, and dirty. So, it places like a little like metal like pinball like in the middle, and you have to like move the 2 thumbsticks like up and down or whatever, and you have to like balance it out, and you have to drop it in a certain like drop the ball in like a certain hole, and there's like power-ups that you can collect and stuff like slow-mo or like extra points and stuff like that. And like it looks like it could be really easy, and like it's very misleading like when you go to look at guides, because I bought it because it was like, oh, an hour, okay, let me get this really quick plat or whatever, and it's just like, no.
Okay.
I'm very impatient when it comes to it because it's just like I want it to be done, and I keep dropping it in the wrong hole, and then just like oh, game over.
There's no time limit with this game though, is there? Like if you are patient, you can take as long as you need. Is that right? Or
in one of the modes you are timed, and in the other one you can kind of like do it at your own will. I mean, you get more points for the quicker that you do it, obviously. But I mean, there's trophies for points, and then there's trophies for not per level, but like cumulative. And then there's trophies for just like beating levels and stuff like that.
So this is almost a more of a skill spam game then.
Skill, and you need patience, which I don't have. I got like 50% of the trophies in it.
Well, it's still, it's still valid, 50%. Sometimes you just have to take that and move on. But okay, 2 stacks of Super Korotama. And I believe that's quite reasonably priced, isn't it? It's not excessive.
Yeah, I think it's only $4.99, I believe.
Okay, well, look, listeners, I'll throw one out. Now, this disclosure, so this is a sort of medium-length spam, I suppose. Although, depending on how quickly you follow the guide, can be done anywhere from sort of 2 to 4 hours, I would say. 5 comfortably. Now, if you're doing it without the guide, it's going to take you a lot longer, though. So it is this hidden through time. So basically what it is it's a point-and-click hide-and-seek type game. That's a new genre that I'm just blending there, but that's exactly what it is. So basically you have a picture and you have sort of 4 or 5 objects within the picture you need to find. It's sort of like Where's Wally, except you're not finding Wally. It's actually quite fun, except some of the things you need to find are really small, like there can be a little mouse or just like a little rock dot. Some of the pictures, they start off easy, but they get pretty elaborate, and of course there are people in the pictures that are moving around on a loop, so it's sort of it's just makes it more confusing, of course, with the colors. Basically, the game, it's a game in 2 halves, if you like. You have I suppose you could call a story mode, series of maps, and then you have the online. So we'll start with the story mode. This is where you would perhaps need the guide because, as I said, trying to find some of those things, it's a little bit difficult. But if you use the guide, it's very simple. The trophies tied through that culminate, if you like, in finding 100 objects, which you're going to do quite easily, whether you start with the online or not. Now, there are map trophies as well, 5, 10, 15, and objectives of all the maps. This is tied to the story mode, so you can't do these trophies or maps in the online mode. So you do have to play the story mode as well. Then we move on to the online. So this will, potentially be the longest amount of time for you. You have to play 50 online maps. But look, at the other day, at the time of playing this, there were already at least 30 maps, Joe, that had been created by trophy and achievement hunters, because there seems to be a cross-map sharing facility, crossplay, if you like, in this game. So you can just type in trophy or easy trophy or quick achievement, and you'll get a list of all the maps. Now, these maps can be done like in a second or 2. The loading is really quick as well. It only takes a few seconds, so it's not going to take long. You can't you can replay the same map, but you won't get credit for it. So you have to play 50 unique maps. So I'm sure, if not already, definitely within the next week or 2, there'll be 50 very short ones. It also tracks the ones you've done, so you're not doing the same ones again. And it has a good finding and filter system. So look, it's kind of relaxing if you want to play it by yourself, up until a point where it becomes very frustrating. Then jump on the guide and knock that out for an easy completion. What have you got for us next, Joe?
Did you call Waldo Wally?
Yes, Where's Wally? You're not familiar with him?
No, here it's Where's Waldo.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's very European. I didn't know that. Waldo. Now, what's going to happen now, Joe, is some listeners are just there like going, oh my God, it's totally Waldo or it's totally Wally. And we're going to have all these, people coming in and telling me I'm wrong.
Good.
Which is fantastic.
Good.
Yes. It's Waldo. That's very Italian. I like it. I'm going to look that up later.
There's actually a well, it's probably not active anymore, but a Games for Windows Live game with achievements for it too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to look into that. I used to love those books. Not that long ago either. I was going to say when I was a child, but, they weren't around then.
This year.
Yeah, that's right. That's 5 minutes ago. That my childlike brain loved it. Now, what have you got next for us, Joe? I believe this next one's a bit of a short one.
Yeah, so I played this on the Xbox. I haven't played it on the PlayStation yet, just because it doesn't have a platinum, but it has a 1,000 gamer score on Xbox. But it's Mr. Pumpkin's Adventure. It's a point and click, and it's only about 20 minutes long. It's incredibly easy. And on the PlayStation, it has 5 stacks. So it's North America, Japan, China, Asia, or Asia Vita, I'm sorry, and then a PS4 Asian version as well.
That's a lot of versions.
There's 2 stacks on the Xbox One. It's the standard version, which is like US, Europe, and there's a Chinese version, which the Chinese version needs a Chinese console, which I have. I
Oh.
don't actually own the game though because it's a huge hassle to get those.
That's funny. I was going to ask you about that because on the PlayStation, of course, if you have a Chinese account, you have to have it linked to a Chinese credit card. So it's not a simple a matter of buying currency or doing this sneaky trick of getting a Korean account. Even it's very difficult if you don't have a contact there. So, but that version aside, there's still plenty of other versions.
Yeah, I was able to activate the console. You need like a person with a Chinese phone number in order to activate it, which is weird. So like in order to sign my Xbox profile onto it, I needed like this person had to live in China, and I had to send like he had to send me like a verification message or
Mm.
whatever. It was a huge hassle. And then on top of it, he's all the way across the world too. So, I mean, like, I don't know what time it is in China right now or whatever, because China has like 11 time zones. So I don't know what part he's in. And it was like, hey, you ready to do this? And it's like, yes. And then I send it, and then he sends me the code like 5 minutes later, and then it expired or whatever.
Ah.
And huge hassle. It took me like 3 days just to get it set up and trying to communicate with him and stuff.
Well, I tell you what, listeners, if there was any question how committed Joe is to crossing the line there and smashing the cap, we've now heard it. I mean, that is, I've done some things, but that's next level. I love it, sir. That is fantastic.
Yeah, and I get to play Halo Master Chief Collection again too.
Oh, that is fantastic. There'll be people out there shaking their heads, reaching for the stop button now, but go on, do it. Or don't continue, because we have more games coming. So what can I throw out next? Red Death. So Joe, this game will piss you off, I'm sure of it. Because it pissed me off. It's Panda Indie Studio. The devs through East Asia Soft. So now, again, it's not it's only for PS4, this one, and Xbox, I believe. There is no Vita version for this game. So the reason this game is frustrating is that it's not particularly difficult. In fact, the game, if you got a great run, your first run, it only takes about 6 minutes or so to get the high score trophy, which is the only challenging trophy in the game, which is to hit a high score of 80,000. So to do that, you need basically a flawless run through about the first 5 or 6 minutes of the game. If you get that flawless run, you'll easily get the 80,000. The problem is you do acquire ships as you go. It's a vertical, arcade spaceship shooter, if you like. You do acquire ships as you go, so you may survive till then without a flawless run, losing some, but the pickup that you're looking for is the laser pickup. Now, that happens early on and about 90 seconds into the game. The problem is if you die, even though you instantaneously respawn, you lose that laser pickup. And as you go on, the bosses, they become very difficult without that. They're super easy with that, but without that, they're kind of difficult, almost to the point where it might even be worth considering just restarting. As you play the game, listeners, I'm sure you'll see what I mean. So the game basically, Joe, plays as a bullet hell, if you like, with the bosses. So if that's too much for you, the screen covered in bullets and you got to dodge like ridiculously. If that's too much, probably this game is not for you. But if you're familiar with that style and a small hitbox detention on your ship, not the whole ship, you'll be fine with it. That now, it does have this overdrive mechanic as well. So there are some trophies tied to that. You'll need 5 of them. Most likely you'll only get a couple per run at best, maybe 1, maybe 2. So it will take a couple of goes, even if you knock out the 80,000 on the first go. My only other tip would be when you get towards the sort of the last boss you're going to play, it's sort of the third boss, if you like, try and have an overdrive for that, because you can kill the boss very quickly with the overdrive. Without it, it's a little bit of a nightmare. And at that point, you'll probably be on about 78 or 79,000 points. So it can be very frustrating, Joe, to keep dying there and not quite getting the 1,000. But other than that, it is quite enjoyable. And look, it's a weird one, Joe. There are 4 stacks of it. There's NA, EU, and Hong Kong. And look, it is on the Japanese store. So I'm gonna take a stab that 4th one is Japanese, although I'm not 100% sure of that at time of recording. So Joe, what have you got for us next?
I played Steins Gate Elite this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which number is this?
This is the newest one, I believe. I played the standard US PS4 version of the game, and I thought it was easier than the other Steins Gate games, because the first couple of them were really wild with, like, having to stop the game and answer the phone and reply a certain text message and stuff like that. And with like a visual novel like this, you just want to skip, skip, skip. I did run into some issues because every guide that I use sucked. Because I used like 3 different guides to do this. There's this part towards the end of the later chapters in the game where you have to send a D-mail, which I don't know whatever that is. I didn't really follow the game that much, but it's like a little window of opportunity where like a big old circle appears on the screen or whatever over like what's going on in the game, and you have to press like left trigger to send or L2 to send a message, or R2 to not send the message. And if you're not paying attention, it'll just skip it and not send it. So that was kind of a hassle. I skipped over it like 4 times, and then like I was like making a save and like not right before it, but like right before the previous decision, and I'm like slowly tapping the X button to figure out where it is, and I'm just like, what is this? What am I looking for? And I don't know. And then I used a video guide, and I'm like, oh, I'm looking for this like stupid circle on the screen or whatever to just show up. So then like basically like when you get to a part where you're expecting it, you just like kind of like tap the L1 button and it'll skip to like the next like not scene but like next part in the game. And like while I was doing this too, that was going on and I'm looking for a certain part of the game, I actually kind of figured out some of the story because it was in English too. So I got a little bit of the story out of it too while I was riding the struggle bus.
That's almost the purpose of it. That's fantastic to hear.
But I didn't pay for that.
No, that's right. The story is a bonus extra in a spam game. You know, they could leave that at the door, but you know they insist on including it, so that's fine for now. Those games are funny though because you know obviously it's different variations, and I understand they're different stories. There are so many stacks of these Steins Gates games or whatever, and they're not. It's a great way to tell a next level trophy whore because, like, you know, most people might have one of them on their list if they're so interested, but you know you're at the next level when you have like 18 of them or something, Joe. So that's something to look forward to. And look, they are, you know, if you've played them before, you know, they're not like skip and leave VNs. You do have to pay attention, whether it be the D-mails, as you say, which, you know, direct the endings, the character endings, or whether it be the actual messages as well on the phone. So, look, I don't know. They're a bit of a hassle. If you're just looking for the easiest one, of course, is the Steins Gate Zero. I don't know if you've done that, Joe. There's many stacks of that. That is definitely the easiest of the series.
So that one I did on the Xbox One, because the first week it was like 50% off. So and it was only digitally, so I bought it for like $25, like the week it came out. But I actually own all seven versions of it already on disc and on Vita cartridge. Yeah, I actually have all of them, and I'm like ready to just like one day I'm just gonna like plow through all 7 of them.
Yeah. Well, look, you know, and that'll be a level in itself, pretty much. So, look, something to look forward to, listeners, on the other side. Welcome to the dark side, perhaps. The next one that I have for you, you know, coming back to the light somewhat, is Stab, 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 which I think that would have made a great platinum name. Like, they've gone with Master Stab, which is still pretty cool, but I think Stab, Stab, Stab would have been even better. But you know, look, a missed opportunity. What can we say? So this game, where are we here? This game from listener Monster Couch. So it's basically a physics-based couch co-op game. It can have up to 8 players, but look, for the trophies, you're only going to need 2 controllers. So you can, in effect, play this by yourself. You don't need a second player with two human controllers, if you like, bought in or whatever. I didn't try the trick of, you know, switching profiles or whatever, but I think just the 2 controllers is easier. It can be done anywhere from 2 to 4 hours. My understanding is there is no guide at the moment. It's quite a reasonable game. Now, you do have to play 100 versus matches. Now, it doesn't take very long. There can be a couple of seconds. The problem is the trophy for the win 10 matches seems to be glitched. Not glitched that you can't get it, but not glitched, you know, in counting to 10, perhaps. So quite often you will get the 100 trophy here, Joe, before you'll get the 10. In fact, you may not get the 10 until a little bit after the 100. So you just have to keep playing. But look, it's no major drama or whatever. There's trophies for finishing, 20 matches in a draw. But look, that can easily be achieved. The rest of them are around dying in certain ways or killing your other member in certain way, with environmental things, whether it be spikes or the teleporter or the grinder or whatever. So or the swinging hammer. It's very straightforward. You also need to play on each map, but you can just choose the maps as you go. There is a survival mode where you need to clear 50 waves, but look, it's not difficult in any stretch. So as I said, there are a few of these sort of co-op games that you can boost yourself. I mean, we had a recent one with the kart racing game, but this one, now there's these blobs stabbing each other with really erectile noses, Joe. It's fantastic. And there's actually a pickup which makes the nose really grow long. So the body, it looks like a bit of a spider with its legs. It actually sort of falls forward, becomes difficult to control. So look, it's fun, and look, ultimately an easy plat that has and will continue, I believe, to fly under the radar. So, Joe, do you have any other games you want to throw for us, or shall we move towards the Ratter Platter of the Weeks?
Yes. You can move on, I'm sorry.
No, excellent. Good. I love it when people just go yes, and that's it. There's no follow-up. It's powerful. Yes.
Yes.
And then just silence. Yeah, that's right. We should do the yes, but yes. Yes. It'd be good. People like to say yes too much often. So look, we've got 2 Ratter Platters of the week. So let's start with Super Landestronaut Land Wars, I believe, isn't it, Joe? Do you want to kick us off with this? What do you think?
This one is definitely a step in the right direction from the last couple weeks or whatever, with games that were slightly more difficult and ones that I just didn't like and that I found agitating. This one was pretty easy and relaxing. I had an issue with one of the arcade modes the first time I played it, and then like the second time I played it on the PS4, I had no issues with it. I just kind of cruised right through it. Probably also took me longer than it should have or whatever, because it was like I would do an arcade mode and be like, oh, let me do this thing on my computer.
Yes.
I do not like the game on the Vita. I will say that.
Why?
I just don't like the little thumbsticks. They kind of suck.
Is it laggy at all on the Vita? That's what scares me. Or is it?
No, I didn't have any performance issues with it. It's just like the Vita is obviously designed to play like shooters on it, if like when they originally released the console, like for Resistance and stuff like that. But those little thumbstick nubs kind of like they're just garbage. And like the 3DS does a much better job at making thumbsticks, where they're just like they don't move or whatever. They're just like they're flat with the system and they slide.
Interesting. So what can we say about this game? So it's developed by Petite Games. If you don't know it, Joe, obviously it's the sequel, I suppose, to Super Landestronaut, isn't it? Which was an arcade space shooter. So it's moved quite differently now to a first-person shooter. But you like this move?
Oh yeah.
Okay, fair enough. So it consists of 30 different challenges, listeners. You only need to complete 15 for the trophies. You can complete any 15. So if you're looking for a quicker time, some of the challenges involve first buying a shotgun or buying a weapon for so much money. They tend to actually be, I don't know if you found this, Joe, or you just did the first 15, but they tend to be the longer challenges. There are actually some even later on that are super quick to do with multipliers and number of kills. But, look, you can do all 30 if you so wish. And then, normally that would be your plat there, you would think. But they've added these arcade modes, as you alluded to, Joe. All sorts of different ones, combo builders, overpowered kills or whatever with the rocket launcher, and a combo, and a high score mode where you have to get more than 300,000, which is just sort of, the bulk of the game, I suppose, really, isn't it? The longest part, if you like. But look, it's very easy. And of course, as we all have known and come to love, the EU, NA, and Asia stacks. So that was from the other week. Now, I don't know, have you had time yet, Joe? Because again, the codes have been getting later and later for these games, which is, it's understandable with what's going on. Have you played this Thunderpaw, which is the new release for this week?
Yeah, I played it probably 20 minutes before we started recording.
Good. Have you played enough to talk a little bit about it?
I got the platinum in it.
Excellent.
Yeah, not that bad. I do have one complaint with the game, and it's probably honestly just to make it slightly more difficult. Two, my bad. So whenever you fire the gun, there's like a pretty big like recoil in the it's like a platformer, and you kind of like shoot back like an inch on the screen, and I found it like kind of irritating because you'll be like shooting and your gun only shoots like a couple inches in front of you, so like you'll be shooting and then you back up or whatever, and then there's like an enemy in front of you and that now you can't reach them, so then you gotta go forward again. I've kind of found that agitating. And the bosses, there's two bosses that you have to play on your way to the platinum. There might be more in the. It says there's 5 dynamic bosses. It says in your little show notes. I found the bosses to be a little bit challenging as well. The game itself is really really easy though. It's just 12 collectibles and beat 2 bosses and
Yeah, okay. Good. Yeah. Look, I haven't had really time. I did get to the first boss and I'd agree with you. I thought it was probably just my timing, but it was a little bit frustrating. But you only need to do the first 2 bosses.
Yeah. There is the first one. There's a little bit of randomness too. I do have a tip for the second one when you get to it. So he's like, so you know how they charge at you or whatever, like they go left and right and they charge at you. So the second boss I found while he's like in the air or whatever. So like when he's on the other side to start, you jump up and there's like a gun that kind of shoots like a little blob or whatever, bouncy balls. So you jump or whatever, and then you jump up and down and then you shoot that or whatever, and the balls will get like a little bit more bounce to them. So they'll bounce up and hit him while he's in the air because he has a jetpack. And then like you wait a couple seconds and then he'll get to the end and then you just stay on the ground and then you just rapid fire that same gun. Then he'll shoot these like little yellow like bullets at you, and they are also very random. So like you could have a little bit, if you stay as far to the left or the right of the screen, there's a pretty good chance he won't hit you with them. But like there's obviously still a chance that he will, but you have a little bit like more freedom because like not as many will come over towards you. And then when he's done shooting those, then you go back to jumping up and down and shooting at the same time. And then when you see him kind of like at the edge of your screen, run to the opposite side of the screen.
Very good. I love a good cheese method, so I will definitely be employing that. That's fantastic. And then, I mean, if you could just talk briefly, most of the trophies then are acquired with finding the secrets in the level. Are they fairly obvious, or is a guide recommended here?
I used Bad Driver's Guide for it. There was only like 1 or 2 that I couldn't find, but the majority of them are pretty easy.
So if you're looking for this game, again, it's EU, NA, and Asia. It is PS4 and Vita, so I'm not sure how this will run on the Vita. We will see. It is developed by Sergio Poverone there. And it does have 20 different levels. Of course, you don't need to play all of them, as we've known and come to expect. And then, Joe, one that's not on the schedule, but I believe you've played it. I think you've platted it at this point now. We might just throw out there, because I believe it is also quick, has a ton of trophies by the look. And this is, of course, the Epic Word Search Collection, brought to us by Lightwood Games. So a puzzler of sorts, I suppose. Any comments on this?
Yeah, I also used Bad Driver's Guide for this. That one was pretty easy because he shows you where all the the hidden the words are for the trophies, and then like there's 16 areas of the word search. The word search is huge. Like if you are into word searches, there's a pretty good amount of them. Mm-hmm. If you're really into that, it is kind of irritating in like a way of how big the puzzle actually is, because it just like zooms in on like a very very small section of it, and you can kind of like scroll up and down the puzzle. But it tells you like what words are on that page, and like or what words start and what words end on that page, or what words just start or what just ends. Like it doesn't tell you like what format they're in. It's pretty easy. He shows you where all the individual trophy words are, and then you have to complete one section, and all the sections are divided by like different color. Like it'd be like a maroon one, and then like a blue one, and then like a green one or whatever. So it's set up like that. To find all the words in like one puzzle, you could literally just hit square for a hint, and then it'll show you the first or the last letter to the puzzle, and then you just have to find the word.
And the funny, ironic thing about that game was actually the Hong Kong stack came out first, but I believe they're all out now, so you can find 3 stacks of that. Now, that is not a cross-buy, though, that one, I believe. So you'll be up twice.
No, it is.
Oh, it is a cross-buy. There you go. Look.
Yeah, I did it on Vita and PS4.
Excellent. Well, we definitely like that then. I enjoy that. So, and now I have a bit of a retraction to make here. Joe informed me this morning that Jump Step Step, which I've been spruiking somewhat, is it looks like it has quite a couple of glitch trophies, actually, Joe. And as you said, it actually has more trophies than achievements. So the guide, potentially won't get you the plat. And you may need to wait for it to be patched. That's correct, isn't it, Joe?
Yeah, I didn't know that too, and I didn't know that the trophy list was different. So like, I bought it because I played it on the Xbox, and I'm like, yeah, this game was really fun and easy, and like, you could knock this out in like 40 minutes. And then like, I don't know if there's more content in it either, because like there's more trophies, or if it's just the same game and they just decided at the time or whatever when the Xbox ones came out, they're like, oh yeah, let's just half-ass this real quick, and then like the PS4 one came out and they're like, oh, let's put some more thought into it. Yeah, there's 2 glitch trophies, which obviously glitches you out of the platinum, and the game's only like 40 minutes to complete on the Xbox.
Well, look, listeners, there's quite a bit of stuff. Now, Joe, why don't we go over then, because it's highly likely people are going to have a lot of time in their houses in the next few weeks or whatever. Now, whether they're going to be able to order physical copies or not remains to be seen. But, they still have money, and they may potentially still want to waste it. So, how are you going to approach this? What are you going to be blasting it away on this week?
So, this week I bought the PlayAsia exclusive Foxyland double pack, which actually stacks for the Vita.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a late release.
The more, the second game grew on me or whatever, the more I played it. The first time I played it, I was like, ugh. But the more I play it, it grows on me. I actually like those. And they're really, really easy.
Are both games on the one cartridge, or is it 2 separate?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
No, both are on the same cartridge. And
That's
it's
cool.
$35 to pre-order it, and it's free shipping, and each one of those is always, obviously, individually numbered. That's going to be my second or third one of those, depending on when it ships, because I bought the Miles and Kylo and another one in there. I totally don't remember what game it is. Double pack. Like Miles and Kylo and something else. I bought that one too. That one hasn't shipped yet. I don't even know if I'll actually get it because of what's going on or whatever.
That's a great collector's item to have, though.
Yeah, I have the Pantsu Hunter one too.
Ah.
That one doesn't have a stackable list, but I mean, how could I not buy that?
Oh, exactly. Anything else this week? I see something big there.
Yeah, I have the really expensive Doom Eternal Collector's Edition pre-ordered, and I could have picked it up today. I didn't really feel like going to go get it, though, so I'm probably going to get it tomorrow if my GameStop is actually open.
Fingers crossed. At least it's there, so you know where it is. That's fantastic. Because I
Yeah.
know there are people over there now with pre-orders all over the place that, as you allude to, unsure of shipping and things like this. So that's exciting. Yeah. For myself, listeners, again, look, I'm gonna have a try of this Doom Eternal. In fact, it just arrived here about 15 minutes ago while we were recording, Joe. It's at the front door, so that's wonderful. I have to do some work first, I feel, but I will get onto that. And then, I've never played an Animal Crossing game, and most people would go, well, now it's probably too late. You should probably never play one, but I was twisted by one of the hosts, Chris of R3 Sense. They're raving about, how great this game is going to be or whatever else. So I'm gonna consider this, Joe. I don't know. It looks like, it might interest me for a while. I don't know. Do you have any experience with this Animal Crossing?
So when the DS one came out, like the original DS, like the really big bulky one or whatever, me and a bunch of my friends, we bought it and we just kind of like sat and played it for like hours and hours and hours and hours. And, obviously, there were less games at the time. There was no Xbox for me to get achievements on. So, I mean, like, back when I used to play games for fun.
Yes, well, that was a dark time, wasn't it?
Yeah. I had the Wii or the Wii U one. No, the Wii version of the game. But I never played it. Like, it was just upstairs and my sister would play it. Yeah, I haven't played it in years. I'm probably not going to get it.
No, I'm very much on the fence because that's what I've heard as well. The people that are into it are very, very excited, but it does sound like a massive time sink. I'm not sure.
Yeah. it definitely you definitely got to invest some time in it. It's not like one of those like I mean you can pick it up and play it like here and there and stuff like that, but like as time progresses out here, time progresses in the game too. So like if you don't play the game
Yeah.
for like a week and a half, you're gonna have like weeds in your garden and everything like that, and you got to pick all the weeds out and stuff like that. So I mean like if you gotta give the game attention like almost every day, and yeah that's not for me anymore.
It does not sound like a CJ game, but we will see. We will see. So look, Joe, I don't know if there's anything else. If there is, please throw it out now.
I mean, like I bought a bunch of Funko Pops this week, but I'm always buying a bunch of Funko Pops.
Yeah, yeah. Well, look, the world goes on, which is important. So, listeners, I'd like to throw a little bit of a shout out. We do have a couple of Italian listeners. I know, it's devastating over there at the moment. In fact, one listener in particular, we have quite a good back and forth, and she provides many tips to me, most which are used for this show. So I know it's a very difficult time over there for you, and I hope that you and your family continue to remain safe. What's devastating condition around the world at the moment, I suppose. What we're going to be doing moving forward, obviously in Australia, we're a little bit behind the rest of the world, but we're catching up, unfortunately, rapidly, quickly at the moment. My work has transitioned now, so I think what's going to happen, because things will change a little bit over the next few weeks for me as well, is we're obviously going to try and provide as much content as we can, because the distraction, and I suppose we are some sort of a distraction, Joe, is perhaps warranted at this time or whatever. To allow for that, some of our shows may run longer over the next few weeks. The editing will also potentially become a little bit more natural. So if there's a little bit of whatever in the editing, it's my fault. Address your comments and concerns to me directly. Not to Mindy or Joe on that one, but I'm sure you'll understand. I think more content, even if it is a little bit whatever around the sides, a bit rambly, if you like today, the listeners will be allowed. So look, with that in mind, I'd like to thank you again, Joe, for joining me this morning.
Oh, it's always a pleasure.
Or this evening for you, I suppose, isn't it? Yes. Thank you. And if you're trying to find the show, obviously we're available on all good podcast providers. If you want to reach out to us, you can do so in our Discord. It'll be in the show notes. Come and say hi. There's some wonderful people there talking all manner of games. If you're looking for the main show, Push2 A Plat, you can also find that on all the same good podcast providers. If you do want to reach out to us, we're on Twitter at push2plat, push2plat, or email at push2plat@gmail.com. So listeners, stay safe. Have a wonderful week. Explore your homes. Find something new to do. I don't know. Reach out and say hi, But whatever happens, continue earning those trophies and achievements, because we will surely now smash that cap together. Thank you.
Oh yeah, and I'm sorry if you all had to listen to me eat pancakes while we recorded this.